Agud Voch Raboisai. Lilu Nishmas Mimrosim Mordechai. Welcome to all the guests. We have with us R Eli Kamiansky, the brother of the famous Avi Kamiansky from Lunch Break. That's how he's known now. It's a great article. If you didn't see it in Ami this week, it's unbelievable. He even gave us a shout out. It's a little weak, but he gave us a shout out nevertheless. So, what's your name? Both of you. Yosatmer Chassid? What's the last name? Statmer. Statmer. No, there's no connection. Statman. From? Ooh, I love Los Angeles. Great. Wow. Okay. So you know my son? You see him around at all? Kiwi? Nothing?
City, we're in the valley.
Okay, those guys. Yeah. Thanks for coming. What's your name?
Israel Ruft.
Israel Ruft. From?
Brooklyn,
New York.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You left all the garbage there? What did your mother say about it?
She doesn't have a say. I don't ask her.
You threw in the gutter. That's why. No. Okay. Forget about it. All right, who else we got over here? That's it. Alan Gross. You also from Brooklyn? Yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah. Yes. All right, advice. I got a new guy in the back over there. Who'd you bring with you? What's your name? Shalom Aleichem. Oh, you're old. That's okay. All right. Lucky you guys. We have a shir coming up in an hour in Hebrew. Huh? He's a real guest. He comes to both shirim, and what he does is he takes the stuff from the Hebrew and he pretends he wasn't there, and he screams out in the middle of the English. It's a whole balayat. Speak to him now about this. Yeshikoyach Rav Stefansky about putting on tefillin. My name is Shia Hecht from Hecht's Deikum Flatbush. And I started a few years ago a project in memory of my father, of Rav Shalom Hecht, zechus Bracha, called Tefillin Stop. The idea is wherever a Jew goes in the world, there should be a pair of tefillin available to him in a warehouse, restaurant, grocery store, etc. I have a website, www.tefillinstop.com, that show you the closest location to where you are and where the tefillin are available. If you can give a shout out about it, it would be an amazing boost to the project. So far, I have about 70 locations. And my idea is wherever you see a sign for Coke, you'll find tefillin available. Thank you in advance. Hashem should bench you in all that you do. Shia Hecht. So I spoke about tefillin not to be embarrassed, and just that day, Mark Ashkenazi is telling me that I mentioned Waterbury Yeshiva, and he said in the Yeshiva they had a big project and the whole thing, exactly this. So, Gevaldik, Baruch Shekivanti. The Parnas HaChodesh for the Koilel is anonymous from Lakewood Refuah, Tinoik Ben Malka. The Masechta sponsor for the unity of Am Yisrael. We keep on forgetting, we don't forget, but we take it for granted, the achdus that we have in the shir. The amazing achdus. You come, you just look around this year tonight, and you look at every siyum that we do, and we have chassidim with streimels and people without yarmulkes and everything in between. The Parnas HaChodesh Yedidya Pereira, lezchut zivug hog bekarov Chanarocha bas Michal Chaim ben ושושנה ברכה bas Parnas HaChodesh Rav Noam Avi Gary Yosef for the relentless commitment to MDY. Oh, the guys in Zoom are on, the guys in Manchester, the live shir is on right now. That looks like a nice amount. How many people on Zoom, Gary?
50.
Very, very nice. Beautiful. Did I already say this? Ahron Fraiman should be zechus for really continuing dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas HaChodesh lilu nishmas kol chayalei tzahal shenaflu al kiddush Hashem the neshama should have an aliyah. Parnas HaChodesh. Who is that? Gershon who? Oh, Gershi Rose. I only got 2 emails from him. Shalom Aleichem Reb Gershi. Shkoyach. Keep on sending them. So it's a 5th kiss from Hashem. The 4 kisses that you sent me, plus to see you, that's the 5th kiss from Hashem. In memory of Binyomin Airley from anonymous from Manchester, who joined the shir at the beginning of siyadta. The Parnas HaChodesh number 7, Shprintzy and Avrumie Gross, Lili Nishmas, the yardsticks of our fathers, Shloim Zalman ben Yitzchak Isaac, Zechrono Levracha, Binyomin Isaac ben Tzvi Hirsch HaKoyin, Zechrono Levracha. Parnas HaYoim, Koby and Perry Mozes, Lili Zech Nishmas, Rav Shalom ben Yaakov, Yehuda Zechrono Levracha, Yehuda al Shvat, Shalom Moses of LA, on his 15th yard site. Larry Pearl, Lili Nishmat, Bendet ben Yitzchak. Larry Pearl, I haven't seen him all. Remember him? Used to be on Zoom every day. And then he comes to see you. Good. Should have Fua Shlema. MDY headquarter coffee corner last day for the whole Larry Pearl Shabbat Lechem. You look good. You look Givaldic. How you doing? Good. Awesome. Mendel Learner. L'chvay the chassid of my son Shlomi. You should be zoicha to build a bais nemon b'Yisrael. And the art of the month. Anonymous for the zechus, for easy childbirth for his daughter and a healthy baby. We're looking for good news soon from him. Rabbi Isai, if you're inside the backyard of your neighbor and you try to steal something and you want to do it inside the backyard, and if you were here on Friday, answer it if no one else knows the answer. How are you what kind of kinyan can you do to acquire that chayfetz? If you're inside your neighbor's backyard and you want to steal it, you want to be kind of kinyan for a ganav, what do? He says agba. Anybody agree with him? What if you do mashicha? Not kind of, why not? So, but agba also still in the chatzar, no? You guys are right. Mashicha not, hagba yes. First, I got to warn you, we got some very, very geshmak adapim tonight, tomorrow, for the next seeable future, maybe 2 weeks almost. Just easy, flowing sugyas, almost a gadata. Boy Rav Papa, some of it is a gadata. So holding 3 lines from the bottom of Amud Beis, I believe. Boy Rav Papa, Gnava kita machramau. Here we have a person steals an animal and chops off its foot. Umachra, mau. So he stole it. Now we're talking about dalvei. In order to be chayav the 4 or the 5, when you steal an animal and you sell it, you have to sell the entire animal. We had a whole discussion. What if you say, I'm not going to sell you the entire animal, I'm selling you 99% of it, you don't have to pay 4. In this case, look, he took off more than 1%. He took off a whole foot. So did he sell less than what he stole? Or perhaps now, whatever's left of the animal, he's selling the entire thing. What the thing that he stole, which is a 100% sheep, he did not sell that because now it's 90%. But at the end of the day, he sold whatever he has. The 100% of 90% he sold. Teiku. A person stole something and he made a shliach that person should shech for him. So again, if you're sitting in the Shas Yidin and they ask you the question, what items, what things in the Torah could you make a shliach la'avera? If I appoint you to be my shliach and it's an avera, what could the shliach do that the person that sends him, will be chayiv? So at least 2 things that we know of. What do we know? Mi'ilah and tvicha, mechira, selling and shechting an animal after you sell it. If you tell somebody to shecht it for you, you're chayiv 4 and 5. So ganav and asav la'acher b'tavach, you sold it and you told somebody else to shecht it. Now we're going to have 9 cases that you're chayiv dalad v'hei. 9. Count them. Here's 1. Ganav and asav la'acher u'machar. You told your friend to sell it for you. You're chayiv dalad v'hei. Top of ayin tesam dalad. Ganav v'higdish. You stole it, and then you said, this animal, big tzaddik that you are. You steal an animal, and you say, oh, I want it for the Beis HaMikdash. Says Taisus, we're talking about, he made it bedek habayis, it wasn't a carbon. Beis HaMikdash. He wants it to be for the bedek habayis, to take care of the Beis HaMikdash. And we hold, like the Manda Omar, as the Gemara is going to say in a second, the Manda Omar that says that when you were makdish something, it's like you sold it. So since you sold it through hegdish, you're chayiv dalid v'hei. Ganav v'hikiv. If you stole it and you sold it on credit, told somebody, you don't have to pay me right now, pay me next year. Gona v'hichlif, you used it as chalipin. You gave somebody the sheep that you stole and you took a dog. You chayev down v'hei, but you didn't see any money. See, you don't have to have money. You had a benefit from it, you have to pay dal v'hei. It's like selling. Gona v'nosam matana. Oh, here's a huge chiddush. You steal a sheep and you give it to your friend as a gift. Shalom Aleichem, I have a gift, I bought this for you, da-da-da. You're not gaining anything from it monetarily. But since it changed the rishus, it went from your possession to his, chayiv dal v'hei. Gonavu parachoivai. This is the worst of the worst. We hate paying back loans. It's the worst feeling in the world. Sometimes it's a good feeling. Baruch Hashem, I got rid of the loan. But who wants to pay back a loan? You're not getting. It's not a matana. The guy's not going to appreciate it. He actually is upset at you because you're already a couple weeks late or a few years late, whatever it is. So you give him back the loan. It's considered like you sold it. Yichai dal v'hei. Gonavu parabei kefai. You stole an animal and you paid the credit card company with it. Again, you didn't gain anything now, you're paying off debt. You stole it and you gave it as a gift to your future wife. Now, she is mekudeshes to you. She already has a ring, she's already an Eishesish, but she still lives in her father's house. She's not complete Nesuin. So you could think to yourself that, in a way, she's your wife. You didn't really give it to anybody. It's going to come right back to your house, but it's hers 100%. Why is it hers? It's in Barzel. It's her rishus. So it's as if you gave it to somebody else. You sold it to your own wife, to your own kala. You're chayiv dal v'hei. Mishalim in all these 9 cases, mishalim tashlumi are Bava chamisha. As the Gemara might come, what's the chiddush? All these seem to be a sale. Ashmina Reisha, the first one chiddush at least is gonna benos and lachav v'tovach. The yesh lichlet v'araver as we spoke. That telling somebody else to shecht it for you, it's as if you shechted it yourself. There is a shlichut v'araveira in tvicho mechira, and therefore you're chayiv dal v'hei. Avagad v'chol Torah kula, and the entire Torah ain't shlichut v'araveira. But like you said, there is a shlichut v'araveira by Meila, but everything else, you can't send a guy to kill for you, although, they'll put you in jail probably longer than the guy that actually killed. You can't send somebody to steal for you, you can't send anybody to do any aveira for you. When it comes to Me'ila and Tvicha and Mechira, there's a shlichut v'araveira. That's a massive chiddush. My taima, why? As we learned, they're together, right? It says the Gemara even takes out the word oy to make it even closer. When you sell something, you must have 2 people involved. You have a buyer and a seller. So too, when it comes to shechting, if you have a second person involved, you're chayiv dal v'hei. Vashmin and Seif, and there's another chiddush here. God have a higdish. This idea that when I give it to hegdish, what's the difference if I sell to my friend or I sell to the bedekabais, or that I moved domains? It went from my domain to the domain of hegdish. You are chayiv. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Moshe Cohen. Let me see if I have his thing here somewhere. Where's the next Mishnah? Oive. I don't even know where the next Mishnah. I put it in the wrong place. Anyways, Yeshivat Tzlocha Gdoila in Ruchnius and a lot of Gashmius. What's the Lashon? What did I just say? What did I just say? Those words. Limud Torah and Parnasa, but it's not exact. It has to be exact. I don't know where it is. Kol Tov Shabaylo. Everybody just say Amen and it'll be good. Amen. So the halacha is that the Ganav has to acquire the chayfetz. And if he shechs, the bottom line of this mission is if somebody goes into his friend's backyard and shechs an animal in that backyard, he's not chayiv for daled v'hei. Why? Because he didn't acquire b'gneva. So, Ganav b'shus habaylim v'tovach u'mochar chutz m'shusam. You stole it from the bailam, but you acquired a behagbo, whatever, and then you went outside and you shechted it. Then you chayiv daled v'hei. So how did he do it? With Mashiach. He pulled the animal out of the guy's house. So when does it become his? When he leaves the backyard. When he leaves that rishus, it becomes his. Forget the hagba. Or you see this all the time. you see cows just grazing around. They usually are not in private domains or like a larger area. You go, you chop it from a different rishos. Or you're going to have, so over there, as soon as you do Mashiach, if the cow is just grazing in public property, like you see in Africa, I mentioned this a number of times, that there's a lot of cows just roaming in the streets and they cross busy streets, very dangerous. Because the Africans, that's how they get married. They give their father-in-law a bunch of cows and they get a wife. That's how it's a minhag over there. It's with cows. So you're walking down the street and you see, you want to steal one? So as soon as you do a little bit of Mashiach, you pull it to you, it becomes yours. And then you go and you bring this animal into the original owner's rishos. So that's mamish disgusting. Why? We shechted a sheep here for Masechtas Chulin. I'm really looking forward to doing it again. It was amazing. This time we'll have to do it differently. Last time we did it at the end of Chulin, and then we knew all the ideas and how different the parts looked and everything. I think it would be a lot cooler if we did it like the first day of Chulin. Beis Hashem, somebody remind me, we got to get Rabbi David right over here in front of the Beis Medrash in this alley. He takes the sheep out of his trunk and he does a little shchita. The amount of blood that came out of that animal.
I got pictures and videos I can add if you want.
Yeah, it would be great. I'm saying it was crazy. The amount of he did it in a way that the blood spilled down into the neighbors. So they didn't know it was us. It was just a bunch. No, but he was spraying there with a hose, and you can't even imagine. Something this guy is such a Russia. Not only does he steal the guy's cow, he brings it back into the guy's backyard, shechts it there, makes a big mess, and he leaves. Shkoyach. So a terrible guy. Or he did the whole gneva and the tvicha. Okay, that's already okay. A half a mensch, not to bring it back. Oh, by the way, here I have a gift for you. A bunch of blood. So he does it outside. And when Avi Kamiansky and Noam Fix bought me a gift, it was supposed to be a big shtick. We were sitting in Noam Fix's house with the siyum back in the day when we only had 40 people in the shir, and in the middle of the siyum, all of a sudden, in they walk in with a sheep. Here, Eli, this is your gift for finishing the Masechta. Give me a live sheep. So then they took it out. So first the sheep did something with its foot, left a mark in Noam Fix's floor till this very day. It has but then they took the sheep, they gave it to Tyree, who lives right behind Noam Fix, and he shechted it in his mirpeset. He has a way of doing it. They chopped it up into a bunch of pieces, and they put it into Avi Kamiansky's freezer. And then Avi Kamiansky one day decided to eat it. It was my gift. He ate it. No, but then he also served it a different siyum for us. Okay, what? It was good. Yeah, when Avi makes meat, trust me, it's good. Nah, he's going to be mad at me that I said he ate my gift. No. He saved most of it for the siyum. But occasionally, when he wanted a lamb chop, he just pulled it out of the siyum. You weren't invited. No, yeah, he's right. The one on my mirpeset, that one was in Noam Fix's house. Then the following one was on my mirpeset, and they served that lamb that they shechted in it. 100%, you're 100% right. By the way, this is Eli Kamiansky. Because of him, seriously, he has a huge part in giving shir back in Chaniche. We had 20, 30 people back then, and he said to me, there's something called YouTube, and you could stream it live. Why didn't you do that? And I said, okay, let's go, let's do it. So he set me up for the very first time, and back then you didn't have to have any followers or anything. You just stream live. Then they changed it that you need 1,000 followers, and because of big zechus, because of him, the shir grew. I mean, he has a big part in it. And the way I met you was you decided to come to one of the siyumim with your wife. You had no connection to the daf. You wanted a good steak, and yes, if you come, I said, of course. And it was great. You see, we do a little chesed, and it wasn't enough that he came himself. He brought his wife also, and but at the end of the day, because of that, he went on YouTube. The whole YouTube was because of that. What? He's not the guy. You don't know. Avagad, the poor guy took the raw steak. I don't know who he is even. He's sitting here in chair every day. His mom is turning colors. Stop it, enough with him. And by the way, you with the raw steak, if you put it back in my freezer, we learned tzarich lahidiyah. You have to notify the guy. It's not enough to put it in my freezer. Listen, if you steal something, here the Mishnah says, if you steal it in the guy's backyard, and you shecht it in the guy's backyard, and then you potter. Because you never removed it into your shus, it never became the ganav's. If the ganav is pulling it, and as he's pulling it, he never made a kinyan yet, and the animal drops dead, obviously not because he pulled it and choked it or whatever he did, it was on its way out anyway, this animal was going to die, so he was never koinet, so potter, it's not his. Here, you see this halacha. If you lift up an animal in somebody else's rishos, it becomes yours. Or you took it out completely, and then it died. Chayiv, it's yours. It died when it was yours because you already did agbah, you already did meshicha, you took it out. This is it happens unfortunately. I said this ma'aseh just recently. This maybe a similar story. A guy in this neighborhood, it happened now. A guy rents an apartment. It's hard to rent apartments. He got a great deal. Rents an apartment. He moving truck, the whole thing, gets into the apartment. He's there for a few weeks. All of a sudden, he hears like somebody playing with the key. So he goes to, what's going on? A guy walks into what are you doing here? He says, what are you doing here? I'm calling the police. Turns out that some shyster rented him an apartment that wasn't his. He knew that the guy was in Chutz La'aretz. So he told somebody, hey, you want to rent an apartment? I'll give you a great deal. Give me a few $1,000s. You can rent this. It wasn't even his. That's what this kohen is doing over here. That's what, not the kohen. This is the ganav, mamshik ganav. He has a pinyan aben. Pinyan aben in the parsha Shavua. Pinyan bchar. His bchar. It's in today's daf. He needs 5 selas. What does he do? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, he's trying to do a mitzvah. He's trying to redeem his son. So he goes and he tells the kohen, you see this sheep right over here? Yeah, take it. So the kohen goes and he takes it, but it's not even his sheep. It's his neighbor's sheep. Now, who's the ganav over here? The kohen or the guy that pointed at the sheep?
Kohen.
The kohen? You said the kohen. Who else? Now, it shouldn't be the guy that pointed because he didn't do anything. But Tosfos says an amazing concept. We have to remember this for all of Shas. It's Tosfos on our daf over here. That there is a shliach l'dvar avera when the kohen had no idea that he was stealing. He told him to steal. He said, hey, you see this? Take it. So he took it. You can't say the kohen is chayiv because he had no idea. He lied to him, said it's mine. Then there's a shliach l'dvar avera, and that's why over here in this case there's a shliach l'dvar avera. Or the bal chayiv. Nidas to steal. And the das over here was the ganav. Or he tells the same story. The ganav looks at the guy that he owes a lot of money to. Here, take this nice cow instead of the money I owe you. And the guy takes the cow. L'shoy mechinam, l'shoyel, or, I mean, we don't need to go through these, but in case, shoy mechinam is somebody that watches the thing for free. Shoyel is somebody who borrows something. A noises sachar, or you want to see the halachas is the next thing. Noises sachar is a guy that takes money for watching something. Soicher is the renter. He tells all these guys, here, this is my animal. He lied to them. You see this car, it's mine. It's a lie. And there was never a kinyan because it happened in the owner's domain. Potter. These are not a big chiddush. He did the mashicha. He did the hagbah. Who? The guy that's innocent, who doesn't know that he's part of the scam. The kohen, the shomer chinam, whoever it is. He did a hagbah. He takes it to himself. So then the animal dies. Chayav. Who's chayav? The ganav is chayav. Says the Gemara, Boya Meimar, Tiknu Meshicha b'Shoimrim Eli. So, very simple. Let's say you rent a car. Okay, let's talk about a car rental. This talks about car rental, about rental. You rent a car. You tell a guy. You tell your neighbor. I heard that you have a side business. You rent your car. I want your car on Sunday. It's okay. He says, yeah, okay. How much? $100. Then some yeshiva guy that's going on a date offers your neighbor $150. So he tells the neighbor, sorry, it's not available, it's broke. He lies to him. At what point could he not take it back? At what point, it's too late. You told the guy you're going to rent it to him, so if it's just words, it's nothing. So at one point, could he not take it back? So is there a meshicha when it comes to a shomer? In other words, even a guy that's a soicher, a shemechina, whatever it is there meshicha? In other words, when the guy says, okay, give me the keys, and he goes like this, or he drives the car forward 2 feet, even though he's not going to use it until tomorrow, maybe at that point, the guy cannot take it back. Omar Rav Yemar Toshmal, prove it to you. Our Mishnah talks about a guy lying, and he tells, he instead of stealing, he tells the kohen to steal for him. We said the Ganav is Chayv, that's the whole Mishnah, word for word, versus a Baal and Potter. If the animal dies before you're able to do a kinyan, nothing, my lab, says the Gemara, Shomer. Aren't we talking about that the Shomer did this Meshicha? Ushmamina tiknu Meshicha b'Shomer. So you see that the Shomer, that there is something called a kinyan when it comes to a guy that does shmir, whether he's a shemechina, a shemer sachar, or even a renter. Amalei loy ganov. So it's very important to understand these two words. It's not as simple as you think. What it means is, we're changing pshat now, that the owner gave this car, he gave this animal, he gave it to a shomer, and the ganov stole it from the shomer. Okay, very simple case. Not that the Ganav told the shomer, pick it up and do this. No, the owner told the guy, watch my animal. I'm going to Los Angeles for a few days. Watch my animal. So he says, okay, he watches out. Comes the shomer and steals it from, comes the Ganav and steals it from the shomer. Who's chayav? What is chayav? The Ganav is chayav. Now, is there a difference between stealing from the owner or stealing from the shomer? There shouldn't be any difference. Says the Gemara, Hatana Le'Reisha. We said, what's the difference if you steal from a guy that's watching an animal or a guy that owns the animal? It's the same. Says the Gemara, no. Tanaganav shiganav beis habalim, Tanaganav shiganav beis shomer. There's two cases. That doesn't make any sense. The two cases, but they're the same. Maliganav shiganav beis shomer, Maliganav shiganav beis habalim. What's the difference? El lav shomer, you're right. So says Rav Ashi, we must say shomer. Lav shomer, that what? The shomer is the one that did the kinyan, not the owner gave it to him. Says the Gemara, we must say that there was a takana that a shomer, once he does meshicha, becomes his, you can't take it back, you can't regret it, it says. Shmamina. We're not going to this funny case that the guy gave it, the owner gave it to a shomer, and you stole from the shomer. There's zero chiddush in that, because there's no difference stealing from a shomer, stealing from the owner. No, we're saying that the shomer made a kinyan in it, and the ganav is chayav because he made a kinyan in it. Ismar nami. And now we just repeat these words. Just like when you buy something from the store, you acquire it when you do a meshicha. So too, the same idea when it comes to shomer, he acquires it when he does meshicha. And here's a chiddush. How do you acquire real estate? With money, with a document. And chazaka. What does chazaka mean? Naga, the parats, you have to work the field a little bit. So too, when you rent something, you acquire it with those three things: money, a document, and chazaka. As the Gemara, what are we talking about exactly? You're talking about a car rental. So yes, today the minhag is actually to rent a car with a document. You sign a document, but that wasn't the thing. That's not how you do it. We're talking about renting a house, renting real estate. So renting real estate is through a document, and that makes a lot of sense. Amud Beis is sponsored by Greg Haber for the success and the safe return of our hostages and chayalim, and for the zechus for Klal Yisroel. Omer Rebbe Lazar, Ra'u shehid min b'charoshin v'tavachu machar. Beautiful picture here from our chashuv artist. This is while he had COVID. Still, he's getting over it. Now, I know it's hard to see, but if you look in the forest, deep, I'll blow it up a little bit here. Oy vey. Yeah. No, it's Waldo. Waldo the Ganav. Okay, so he's hiding. The Gemara says a Ganav is hiding in a forest. And there's people roaming around there and a lot of animals. And people notice that he's hiding, V'talachu mochar, and he went over to one of the animals and shechs it or sells it. Mishalim tashlumi arba v'chamisha. He has to pay 4 or 5. As the Gemara, ma yolim moshach. But he didn't do Mashicha. Says the Gemara, Shekisha b'makel. I want to show you the advancement of MDY. I did this in, I don't remember what Masechta, this is from Yoni's Mishnayis. I got special permission from the famous artist Yoni to use his drawings. We were very excited with this drawing back in the day. And today it looks something like this. And it wasn't Pasha to make this, even this kind of picture with help from a computer and this and that, a lot of Photoshop, a lot of this. But anyway, hitting the animal with a stick, and because of you hitting the animal with a stick, it moves forward, that's a kinyan. The Chiddush, the Gemara could have also said he pulled it. Okay, the Chiddush is, even with a stick, even you're not pulling it, you're not lifting it, you're knocking it and it moves, that itself is a kinyan. So again, the Ganav went in, he gave it a whack, shechted it, so the hitting it makes it his because it moved because of him, so he was kohen it, then he shechted it, so he's chayiv dal v'hei because he shechted his animal. He's acquired bigneva, it's not his, obviously, but in terms of the dal v'hei, he made a kinyan. Amri, you see the advancement in Eli? It's pretty cool in the last 4 years where we went to. Okay, v'kivin the ru, asked the Gemara, kivin the ru gazlanu. You just told me people saw him. What is the difference? Let's see if we have this here. Got to go here this way. A ganav and a gazlan. A ganav is a guy that comes at night with a flashlight. He sneaks into somebody's house. He's ganav. A ganav is chayiv dal, is kefal. He's chayiv dal v'hei. He's chayiv everything. A gazlan has no fear of anyone. Comes in the middle of the day and he steals. So that's the Gemara. But if people saw him, so he has no fear of human beings. He came in the middle of the day, he walked over, he did what he had to do. So Rashi says, but wait a minute, every ganav, even a ganav that we call him a ganav, he came at night, people saw him. If people didn't see him, he's not chayiv dal v'hei. You have to have witnesses that said he stole. So every ganav, he had witnesses. Every ganav is a gazlan, according to this. So Rashi says beautifully, he says, when a person steals something and there's 2 people watching him, he doesn't care about those 2 people. Why? He figures, I'm taking this animal. It's not their animal. What do they care if I take the animal? They're not going to jump me. They're not going to stop me. But in this case, here, let's go back to this picture. He walks over to an animal. You see, there's 4 shepherds there. So he doesn't know who's the owner of the animal. So if he's messing with the owner's animal, he's going to get jumped. The guy's going to stop him. That's why the Gemara says he's a gazlan, because he doesn't care about all those 4 people. When he sees 2 people watching him stealing an animal and he knows they're not the owner, so he's a ganav, because he's scared of people. He's just not scared of those 2 people because they're not the owner. But in this case, he's not scared of the people because they're there, and he doesn't know which one owns which sheep. And when he takes a sheep in front of them, it possibly could be that they're the owner, and therefore the Gemara asks, they're gazlan. Says the Gemara, Kivin the Kohen Tamrim Menayu Ganavu. At the end of the day, he is hiding behind the tree over there. Here he is, Rabbi side. That's the whole story. He's hiding. So that makes him a Ganav. Vela Gazlan Echidami. So what is the case of a Gazlan? Says the Gemara, interesting. Gemara should say, if you don't hide. No, Gemara says, Kigoyim b'nayo ben yoyoda. He was a very, very powerful individual. Shenemar v'yigzol zachanes miyad ha-mitzri v'yargei b'chanisoi. He stole the weapon from the Mitzri and killed him with his own weapon. They say a vitz. They say a guy comes up to Shemayim and they ask him, tell us something special about you that you did. He says, I saw this 80-year-old woman getting robbed by this giant guy, had muscles like this and that. Big guy. I went over to him, I gave him a nice punch, and I grabbed the thing out of the purse and I gave it back to her. Really? When did this happen? This is 3 minutes ago. Okay. This is a tough crowd. Anyway, so I wanted to say like this, Rabbi Isai, listen to this. Stealing the weapon from the bad guy and using it against him is actually MDY. Taking YouTube, you hear this, Eli? Taking YouTube from the Goyim, from the Tumah, taking the smartphones, and which could be a kli of shmutz and Tumah, and using it for Torah, that's chopping the weapon from them and using it against them. Zog the Gemara. Another thing I was thinking, unfortunately the ending is not great, but the very, very famous story from October 7th, and it's on video actually, that they were throwing a grenade. They threw a grenade into this room. Chayal was in the room. So he took the grenade and threw it out of the room and exploded it by them. And a minute later, they threw another one. This went on for 5 or 6 times. I don't know the exact amount. 7 times. I think the 8th one killed him, unfortunately. But that's literally Vayigzal Sechanis, taking the weapon, Miyada Mitzri, Vayargei B'chanisa, and throwing it back at them. So the stories like this, Rabbi Isai, most of Navi that I know is from the Gemara. Like the famous Maisa. I know Navi, I went to Yeshiva. Don't ask me any Navi, anything. So where does it say the story about Gidon? Oh, it's brought down in Shas 3 times. But you never learned inside. You don't know anything. Okay, fine. That's the Haredi Shalom, not the other, not the. You know Navi. I get it, Shamshi. Okay, the YU, yeah, great. I'm never sending my kid to that Haredi school. Anyway, so it says like this: Gidon had 70 sons. 70 sons, and one of them, he starts with this, that the one of them wanted to be a king. One of them lived in Shechem by himself, and he decided to take all the guys from Shechem and fight his brothers. He killed all his brothers, 70 brothers, so that he could be king. Gideon was a king. He wanted to take over his father, but he's not going to compete against 70, 71, 70, whatever it is. One brother was left, Yosef, and Yosef said, he screamed across the mountain, he says, if you guys did it for the right, L'Shem Shemayim, great. But if you did it stam for covet or whatever, Hashem should make a fight between you. You have Melech and Shechem, you should fight each other. And that's what happened. They ended up killing each other. So that's what it says in the pasuk over here. They ambushed them. They stole everything that went by there. So this ambush, that the Gemara says is considered gezel. That's a person that's not scared. We'll see in a second what that means. So why did Rabbi Voch use this pasuk? They're ambushing. What's an ambush? Ambush is to hide behind the tree and jump out from behind the tree. That's already like we said in our sugya. Hiding is not considered a gazlan. Rabbi Yochanan had to come at Tamre to learn zinu inche v'na'arku minayu. So Rabbi Yochanan's teretz, I think it could be explained with a ma'aseh shahaya with me when we were in one of the Pesach programs, our Pesach program. So many years ago, it was like probably 20 years ago, somebody said, "Hey, you want to do some paintballing?" Yeah. She says, "It hurts." It's geschmack. It hurts. Ooh, what does it hurt? So anyway, we go to this place, and they split up our hotel. It was men, so they said, "Okay, you guys, you, this family, that family." Kids are we had some athletic guys. We never did it before. So the first thing, so I climbed up a tree, I think. It was I was on top. I was like, okay, from here, nobody's going to get me. And the other guys behind the rock. Kids are, within a few, the other team destroyed us. It turns out that they had a guy that he was in the IDF. One guy. And as soon as they put him in there, that's it. He took over the whole thing. What did he do? Very, very pashut. He lied down on the ground and put a bunch of leaves on top of himself. And just the barrel of the gun was sticking out. That's it. And anybody that came close by, pak! And nobody could see him. It's impossible. And even if you saw him, you couldn't shoot him because he was flat in the ground. And that was it. So here, I have a picture, came out of this guy. Here. Yeah, one of these things. You can't even see. There's no shaykhs. This is exactly what it was. And he came out, he said, training, shkoyach. A bunch of yeshiva guys trying to fight this guy from the IDF. So, no, but that's what the Gemara says. So the question is, this guy in the circle, in the red circle, is he hiding or he's That's his shtick. That's the way he's fighting. He's not hiding. He's a sniper. That's what a sniper does. He's not hiding out of fear. He's hiding to kill somebody. Zoom in.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's only to zoom in. What do you see there? You see it's a little bit greener than the rest. He didn't do that great of a job. Okay. He's wearing his made in China ghillie suit. Anyway, so the Gemara says like this, the hiding. It's an ambush. People run away from them. If this guy in the ghillie suit stands up, so everybody runs away, or that's part of his thing, is to hide, not because he's scared of people. Says the Gemara, tell me there was Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. Oh, finally, after many daf in Meruba and talking about the Indians, the Gemara tells us that the Talmidim asked Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, why does the Torah say that if you're a ganav, you're scared of human beings, you have to pay double the theft, and if you shechter or sell, you pay 4 or 5. And when it comes to a Gazlan who's not scared of people, he's a bigger mechutzef, he has less fear of humans, he only has to pay one time, he has to pay the principal of Am Yisrael. Omer lehen ze hishva, this Gazlan guy is good, you know why? Hishva kvoid eved l'chvoid koinoi. He's scared of human beings like he's scared of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He put everybody in the same level. When you put everybody in the same level, then... סליחה, שכחתי להגיד. אתה אולי לא היית. 9:30 בעברית. לא 9:15. יש לך 20 דקות. אני לא רוצה שסתם. אוקיי? וזה... And this Ganav lo yishva kvoid eved l'chvoid koinoi. The Ganav, he's more afraid of human beings than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now what? Here, Rabbi Chanan Wasserman, he had a minhag. It's a famous thing. He had a minhag that he would get a newspaper every day. In front of the whole yeshiva, he'd pull out the newspaper and read the headlines. Because he needs to know, he has to be aware of what's going on in the world. He didn't want to be one of these people that doesn't know anything. So he's not going to read the newspaper, he read the headlines. So one of his Talmidim asked him, Rebbe, okay, so you're reading the newspaper, but read it at home. Why are you reading it in front of the whole yeshiva? He says, I don't do anything at home that I wouldn't do in front of everybody. In other words, I'm not hiding anything. This is what I am. I don't do in the bathroom what I don't do in front of my whole family in the living room. Okay? I don't watch what? I'm not talking.
Edit.
Not edit. I think that doesn't have to sound good. So everyone knows what I'm talking about. I don't bring movies that I wouldn't watch in front of my whole family into the restroom that I wouldn't watch in front of them in my living room. That's what he said. Basically. So, that's what's going on here. If you're scared of human beings, but you're not scared of Hashem, this guy's not scared of anything. Here, everybody's equal. I steal in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I steal in front of human beings, in the middle of the day. But a person who says, listen, I'm not scared of Hashem, but I'm scared of people, that's a problem. The Gemara goes on to explain. It's like he made it's a Lashon Saginar. He made as if Hashem doesn't see. The famous story with the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim was on a wagon, and the guy tells him, the wagon driver tells him, listen, my horse needs to eat a little bit. I'm going to pull over here to this field, and if you see an owner or somebody suspicious, scream that somebody's watching. So the guy gets off, and he's about to pull some of the wheat or barley, whatever it was, and the Chavetz Chaim screams, they see you! So the guy jumped, he ran, and he took off. And then the guy looked back, and he doesn't see anybody. He says, what's going on? The Chavetz Chaim says, Baruch Hu sees you. Baruch Hu sees you. You're pretending that Hashem doesn't see. Says the Gemara, like as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kilo Neshimas, Shenemar, Hoi, Hamamikim Hashem, last Reitzah. Here's the full pasuk. You have to see the end of the pasuk. Last there is V'hoya b'machashach maseyim v'yoyimru mi royenu u'mi yoydiyenu. Who? Nobody sees us. We do whatever we want. Uchsiv v'yoyimru lo yireya v'lo yavin elikei Yaakov. He doesn't see. He doesn't understand. Uchsiv ki omru ozav Hashem es haaretz. My famous friend, who was best friends with him, that was one of his times when he became atheist. He said, how is it possible? Baruch Hu, you think he cares about us human beings and he cares about all our thoughts and everything that we do. And yes, there is hashgacha pratis in every single step and every single thing. Omer Meir Mashal Mishum Reb Gamliel Lamada V'Doima L'Shnei Bnei Adam Shoyu Be'ir V'Asu Mishta. Give you a mashal. There's a person, two people, they made a chasana. Echad Zimen as Bnei Ir V'Leizimen as Bnei HaMelech. One guy forgot to invite the king's son. Ve'echad Leizimen as Bnei Ir V'Leizimen as Bnei HaMelech. And one guy forgot to invite everybody. So who's worse? The guy that invited everybody besides, and he singled out the king's family. That's the problem. That's the God. That's the Ganav who doesn't care about human beings. He doesn't care. He cares about human beings. Doesn't care about Hashem. He invites the human being, so to speak, and doesn't care about Hashem. The one that singles out the king, he's the one that's going to get punished. The one that just happened to be, didn't invite anybody, not even his friends. Okay, so it's less. Look at what work does. When you take away somebody's, in those days, think about it. The bull was your tractor. It was your car. The guy can't work in the field without a bull. So when you take away the guy's parnasa like that, you pay 5. Okay, you stole his food, but you didn't take away his melacha. But also, they say that melacha, taking away even an animal's melacha, working with your hands, working physical is a good thing. If you need it, so it's a very nice thing. People shouldn't be embarrassed about working physically. This is an amazing thing. This is a famous Gemara. That look at how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares about a bad guy. This Ganav, he's a Ganav. He steals a sheep and he brought it upon himself. He steals the sheep, puts the sheep on his shoulder and runs with it. Hashem says, I feel bad for him. He had a busha. And therefore we're going to take off 1. He doesn't have to pay 5, he pays 4. The guy that walks in the street, the gaiva, takes the ox, and the ox walks by himself, says Hashem, he pays 5. This is the very famous Baruch Rosenblum. He's like the Magid. He talks in Hebrew. Here in Israel, he has these beautiful things on Chumash. He has thousands of people. Who was telling me about it recently? He says, somebody's telling me, you don't know, you watch tens of thousands of views. So he said that if a guy was caught red-handed, stealing, doing something terrible, stealing, he goes to court, he says, but Your Honor, as I was stealing, I ripped my pants, and everybody saw and they were making fun of me. Judge couldn't care less. You stole, you robbed the bank, you took $1 million, you're going to get it. You're going to throw the books at you. He says, but what if the judge happens to be your father, the father of the Ganav? Happens to be, he came in front of his father, so he has to be fair and give him a nice punishment. But when the son says, but I ripped my pants and everybody's laughing at me, he says, we're gonna lower a little bit the einish, and that's what's going on over here. So you could say a kavachomer that when a person does an avera, he's a ganav, and he has a busha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes into consideration the busha and pays him because of that busha, or takes off his einish. So of course, when it comes to a mitzvah, alachas kama v'kama. What does that mean? When a person is embarrassed to open up a Gemara in an airport, in a chasana, at a ball game, it's embarrassing. You're the chanyak. You're the guy that learns. Big tzaddik, you. We know who you are. We remember you. You're the learning. No, and you do it anyway. Or I say this all the time. I see this mamish. People are becoming more and more aware not to talk during Kaddish. It's very, very severe to talk during Kaddish. It's like talking in the middle of Kedusha. Most people don't talk during Kedusha. So you want to be makbid now. You say, you know what? We covered the situation in Yisrael. We covered the chayalim that are risking their lives and everything. I'm not going to talk during Kaddish. A lot of people took it upon themselves. Comes the guy, your best friend, the big schmoozer. You guys always schmooze during Kaddish. That's the thing. Comes over and he says, hey, you heard it. So what do? You say, it's a mamsha busha. It's a boo. You're embarrassed to do a mitzvah. He's going to look at you and he's going to say, this guy's crazy. He's going from now. Big tzaddik. Yeah? No. Because you took that busha, if Hashem cares about your busha when you steal, think about how he cares about your busha when you do a mitzvah. So, kavachomer ben benoisha kavachomer. Okay. Zog the Gemara. Says the Mishnah. You hear Gary? Yeah. Beseder? Hakol Beseder. Oh, who's that? You're supposed to be with the Olam in Manchester, no? Weiter gegangen, it says the Heilige Mishnah. Sponsored by Moshe Cohen. Lizchus limud Torah. I have it. Here it is. Atzlocha beparnosa b'shefa. Ein megadlim be'im adaka b'Eretz Yisrael. You're not allowed to bring up a smaller animal like a goat and a sheep in Eretz Yisrael. Aval megadlim b'Syria, but in Syria you could. So there's a guy. I said this a few times. Guy that davens here every single morning. A big Talmud Chacham, and his kids really wanted a dog. And he says, "No way, I'm getting a dog." And they made him a sugar, so he got a goat. And when I moved there, the guy's walking around the street with a goat and a leash. And he explained to me that the goat, you don't have to clean up after it. The whole Maisa is a great thing. But people made him crazy. They said, you're not allowed to be Megadol, a goat in Eretz Yisrael. So the Achronim talk about it. And what comes out, it's basically a little bit of tomorrow's sugya, we'll see it. But what comes out is as follows. That somebody asked Rav Zilberstein that his neighbor has a goat and really stinks. Which reminds me, Taka, somebody had a goat and they asked him, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the smell? He says, don't worry, the goat will get used to it after a while. Okay, so maybe I didn't say the joke well enough. Okay, so this goat smelled real bad, not the guy himself. And he asked Rav Zilberstein, my neighbor's crazy. I don't want goats living next to me. Like your brother has a neighbor that has chickens in the front yard. You know, sometimes it's annoying. You're living in tight. It's not America where you have a house here and a house, 30 feet away. We all live in one building, 18 people, and you have a goat and this guy's a chicken. Come on, makes noise wakes me up at 4 a.m. It's a mitzvah. And it's also a mitzvah to have a smell. Okay, kitzer. So what do? So it says, like in the Shulchan Aruch says that this thing about bringing up animals already stopped because the problem was that they used to go and graze in the fields. It's not such a problem anymore with the fields. You have your own fields, not that. So the Shulchan Aruch says it's not a problem. But they ask, what about nowadays? Chazon says once the Shulchan Aruch says stop, you can't reinstate it unless you have, Sanhedrin or whatever, like Doilim in those days. You can't make new gzeiros. In terms of the smell, Rabbi Yosef Zilberstein said that's a problem. You cannot cause foul odors for your neighbors and that sort of stuff. Okay, great. Says it's really for tomorrow, but okay. Says Gemara like this: Ein megalim be'im adaka b'Eretz Yisrael, al megalim b'Syria in Syria, mamish like where it is today, or b'midbar shel Yisrael. Now the problem with Syria is that David HaMelech he is koiveshet. How do you say koivesh in English? Captured, conquered. And we're going according to Mandalim. It says kibush yachid, since Akash Baruch Hu didn't tell him lo yishmei kibush, so it's not really Eretz Yisrael. And in the desert, it's Eretz Yisrael. There's no problem in the desert. You cannot bring up chickens in Yerushalayim because people eat a lot of karbanos. Rashi brings the toida and the meiser and all the karbanos that you eat in Yerushalayim. And these chickens, they take shrotzim out of the garbage and they'll touch it and there'll be a problem. And Kohanim, all over Israel, shouldn't bring up chickens because of the taharas, because they have to be careful with the tahara. You cannot bring up pigs anywhere. You shouldn't have a dog. Why? Because a dog could cause a woman to lose her pregnancy. When we learned it last time, and the guy was Mekadesh, the woman, and this is what Rabbi Rose sent me a clip that I said then, it's true. From all the human beings on this planet, there's no human being that's scared of a dog like a Jewish woman. No. Jewish women are terrified from dogs. I don't know, because they didn't grow up with it. Whatever the pshat is, it could cause them to lose their pregnancy. So maybe it's also, but if it's a smaller dog, as we'll see, it's mutter. If it's tied to a string, then it's okay. In person, you can't put out traps for pigeons. When I lived in Kensington, my neighbor across the street, an Italian guy, had hundreds of white doves, pigeons, and he would let them out of their cage and they would fly over our house and he'd do something with a stick, and they would fly in circles and land in the backyard, go into their dovecot, whatever it's called, and in middle of Brooklyn, there's such a thing. So if I were to take out a net and try to catch those pigeons, it would be gneva. They're privately owned. It has to be distant from where people live, a certain amount, 1,000 feet, 2,000, whatever it is. You cannot bring up smaller animals like goats and sheep in Eretz Yisrael. And by the way, here, when I moved to, it's not so common right here, but like 3-4 minutes away from here, when I moved here, there used to be sheep roaming these streets right over here. The Arabs would bring right through. Now they're about 3-4 minutes, they're on the 10, right over here. See them all the time. They're ganavim. They're going through people's private property. You could bring them up in forests in Eretz Yisrael. Besuria, we'll see that's mamish. Even if it's privately owned forest, you're allowed to bring them through there. Besuria, afil biyishuv, and if you live in Syria, then you could even do it in the domesticated places where people live. Why? Because most people are not Jewish over there in Tzarch Loim b'chutz la'aretz, and certainly in America and South Africa and Manchester. Tanya Yidoch, Megalim be'Medaka Eretz Yisrael, Megalim b'Midbar sheByehuda, u'b'Midbar sheB'Sfar in different deserts you're allowed to. Even though they said you shouldn't bring up a be'Medaka, a larger animal, a donkey, a horse, I need that. That's my car. That's my tractor. That's how I make a parnasa. This is a very important yisoid. That Chachamim never made a gzeira that the community can't stand by it. Only 51% of the people could stand by it, and if not. A smaller animal you can bring from outside of Eretz Yisrael. You can't bring a larger animal. But you could bring an animal, buy an animal 30 days before Yontif, 30 days before a wedding. The last animal that you bought right before the wedding, it's not that the clock starts ticking after 30 days. When the wedding happens, that's when you got to get rid of that animal. Because once Yontif goes, from the time you bought it, you don't have 30 days. Oh, but I have 30 days. Once the Yontif is gone, it's also for you to keep it. 2 more lines. On top of Peyo, a guy that owns a butcher shop. He buys animals and he chefs. And he's allowed to keep those animals for 30 days. The one that he bought last, he shouldn't let it stay around. 30 days. Have a wonderful evening and a beautiful week. And tomorrow morning, Hashem, 7:15. Actually, 7:10.